Hi and welcome to the Zone.
We're back again.
This is the Fantasy Football Zone, your home
for everything fantasy football.
Hi and welcome to the Zone. This is the Fantasy Football Zone, your home for everything fantasy football. Welcome so much. My name is Dennis Musau, Dinosaurus on the show today. And we're trying a new thing out. So this is a new segment that we want to bring on the show, which will just be me basically highlighting my own fantasy performance. Those who don't know, my fantasy name is Dinosaurus FC. The name was coined from the famous Arsenal mascot, Ganosaurus. Those of you who also don't know, I am a big Arsenal fan, fell in love with Arsenal and have never looked back. I'll give you a minute to laugh for those of you who are laughing. So yeah, my FPL team is Dinosaurus FC. And basically, we're just adding some vibe onto the FFZ, the Fantasy Football Zone channel, simply because we play the role of being pundits on the channel and just covering, the game weeks and the games and how they unfold. But then we don't really do so much of giving you an inner look of how, our teams perform or the process behind the decisions we make and all that. So basically, this will just be a small segment of the show to just make sure that you get a closer look at how Dinosaurus is performing. We'll start with Dinosaurus, of course, but as we continue, we will roll out for some of the other pundits like Ideal Guy, Junior, the rest. We'll just be able to give them a platform to just do something for their own teams. And yeah, you can get to have a feel of how us as individual managers, how the journey and the process is for us. So yeah, that's basically the purpose of this new segment. So look forward to this every week. We'll just be covering the game week past and the game week to come in just one episode. And I hope this is something that we will enjoy together. So without any much further ado, I think we can get started. So as you can see right there on the small screen, Dinosaurus FC is the name of the team, and a little snapshot or a little synopsis of the team is that this season is proving to be one of the best seasons for Dinosaurus FC yet. I've played fantasy for 4 years, 4 seasons consecutively, and so far it's looking like the best one yet. But of course, it's too early to speak. So we'll go through the journey together and let's see where we finish at the end of the league. So we'll start from our Game Week 7 results, the Game Week 7 performance, given that we are gearing up towards Game Week 8. We can look at how the team performed in Game Week 7. Of course, Game Week 7 was a very difficult game week. As you can see, we just managed to garner 58 points, which was actually a very good performance considering the standards of Game Week 7. The average was 38 points. So 58 was enough to give us some green arrows. But then you can see some standout performance in that team, the likes of Aspilicueta, Raul Jimenez, and Mo Salah, Jamie Vardy. They came in good. Oh, and Kieran Tierney, they came in good with the points. How I wish I had a very big inner debate of who to captain between Vardy and Ronaldo. And even minutes to the deadline, I was still switching the armband between the two until I just decided, I'll just go with Ronaldo. And it was the worst decision, as you can see. So my biggest disappointments were, of course, Ronaldo, that Captain Ronaldo. And even as we gear up towards game week 8, that's one big conundrum, or that's one big talking point in terms of whether to keep him or not. Also, Ismail Sarr let me down with 1 point. Again, João Cancelo, I was really expecting that. He had a difficult match against Liverpool, but I was expecting that he would do something. If not, get a clean sheet, but then maybe some attacking returns. And if you saw that match, he had like 4 key passes to Phil Foden, especially, who was very wasteful in the first half. So I can forgive Cancelo because at least he tried his best. So that's basically how my team performed for game week 7. And we can look at the consequences of this performance in terms of my rankings. So I've basically compiled the rankings to show the general rankings, as well as most of the mini leagues that I'm in. For those who know me personally, maybe we're in the same leagues. This can add a bit of incentive to the show, because we are definitely competing in those invitational classic leagues. But for every FPL manager out there, as you can see, total players 8,340,306. That's the total number of FPL accounts, and we are all competing against each other, the 8.3 million of us. So as you can see, my game week points for game week 7, 58 points, and the 58 points brought me to an overall point tally of 509. That's a pretty good performance so far, 509 points, considering the highest player, or the number 1 ranked player in the world, has almost 550 points. So you can see we are not too far off from that top spot. But yeah, some miracles will have to happen if we are going to see that top spot worldwide. But currently, 509 points, not too bad. The overall rank, as you can see, I'm ranked number 2,786. That makes me, I think, in the top 1% of the, you can do the math, 2,786 over 8.340, I think times 100 to get the percentage, something like that. That should put me in the top 1%, I think, of managers in the world right now, 7 game weeks in. So as you can see, Dinosaurus is definitely flying high in the season so far. So the general leagues, I think that's the other interesting point, where you can see among all the Arsenal fans, I stand at position 331. In Kenya, which is my native country, for those who are watching from Kenya, of course you understand that. Those who are watching from anywhere else, I'm a Kenyan playing FPL from Kenya, and in Kenya I'm ranked number 22 currently. Yeah, and those are the most significant rankings. The rest are the most important ones. In the Invitational League, we will look at the Fantasy Football Zone League, because that's our local league. Us as Fantasy Football Zone, that's our own league. And I mean, what a privilege, what a special privilege it is for me, being one of the founders of Fantasy Football Zone, to currently sit at the top of the Fantasy Football Zone League. But that league is very competitive. We have over 600 players. So I'm not too sure how long I will be able to hold that position. But at this point in time, it's mine to lose, right? And as you can see, all the other mini leagues, how the standings look like. So basically, this is what we are fighting to maintain. The team Dinosaurus is fighting to maintain these standings. Of course, the other leagues, which I'm still position 4, 5, and 156, we are trying to get to that top spot. So yeah, that's why game week 8 is one of the most nervous game weeks for me. So yeah, we can just transition to look at what my current squad looks like, and maybe what are some of the decisions we are thinking to take to have a better chance of succeeding in game week 8. So this is what my current squad looks like. It's exactly the same team that gave me 58 points in game week 7. The exact same team. I've actually not made any changes yet, as you can see. I have 1 free transfer and 1 million in the bank. And with it, I'm trying to think around what kind of transfer can I make that will give me a better chance of, getting the most points in game week 8. A big thing that is playing in my mind is that a lot of the managers, or majority of the managers, have their wildcard chips out for game week 8, which puts pressure on me because I don't have a wildcard chip. That means, of course, my team is not tailor-made for game week 8, unlike most players who will be wildcarding. Another disadvantage is that I only have 1 transfer, which means if I want to make 2 tweaks to the team, that means it will cost me a negative. And at this point, I am not tolerating the idea of a negative. So that's my team as it stands. I'll just discuss the transfers I'm thinking of making. So as you can see, most of the players have pretty good fixtures. Cancelo against Burnley, Azpilicueta against Brentford, Tierney against Crystal Palace, Odegaard against Crystal Palace, Salah against Watford, Jimenez against Aston Villa, and these 2 little forwards facing off against each other, Ronaldo and Vardy. I feel like there's not much I can do about that because I don't want to take a hit. So I am most likely keeping all those players as they are. The only player I'm thinking of transferring out is the Watford midfielder, Ismaila Sarr. I know Watford got a new manager, and it could possibly result to a manager bounce in the team. We see some improved performances for them. But against a Liverpool side, I'm thinking Ismaila Sarr is currently the weakest link in my team right now. So with my 1 transfer, I'm looking to ship him out for maybe some better option players who are likely to give me more points for me to survive game week 8. So we can just look at some of the options that I'm considering to replace Ismaila Sarr for game week 8. So the first one, as you can see, is none other than Rafinha. I wonder why they don't have Rafinha written on his names there. Rafael Diaz Beloli. I think Rafinha is the slang for Rafael. But yeah, Rafinha is one of the favorite options for me to replace Ismaila Sarr with. Rafinha has been on form. Currently, he sits with 31 points in the league so far. Pretty decent for a winger, actually. And when you look at his fixtures, we were just going to look at his fixtures. The next 3 fixtures are so favorable for him. FDR indicates that they're all relatively easy fixtures. Him facing up against Southampton away, Leeds at home, and Norwich away. When you look at the cracks of it, of course, they are not very easy matches, especially that game against Southampton. You remember Southampton held Man City to a 0-0 draw at the Etihad. They were pretty hard to beat for Chelsea as well. So I'm not too sure whether that's necessarily an easy fixture for him. But I guess the perspective here is that it should have goals. And if Leeds are scoring, then Rafinha is in the score sheet or the assist. Against Wolves as well, it's on paper, it might look like a pretty simple game, but I feel like it's a more dicey fixture than it appears on the FDR. Then the Norwich match, which for me, I feel like this is maybe the easiest fixture of them all. So that's why I'm thinking about Rafinha. When you look at his ownership, 20.5% ownership, a pretty high ownership. That means if I don't get him and he performs, my rankings will suffer because many players have him. But then if he flops and I have a differential option who performs, then my rankings will benefit because of the differential aspect. So he's one of the favorite options to replace Ismail Sarr in my team. Let's look at the second option. Yeah, that's the second option, Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva is definitely with an outside chance. As you can see, the ownership is at 1.9%. When you compare, sorry, I'm just trying to look for the points here for Bernardo Silva. But yeah, when you compare Bernardo Silva's ownership with Rafinha already, this is exactly, oh yeah, those are the points right there, 24 points. Yeah, so Rafinha has outperformed him in terms of the total points so far. And as you can look at, you can see the selection, 1.9 to 20.5. That means this would be a big risk for me. If I was to go for Bernardo Silva, it would be a big risk instead of Rafinha. Meaning if Rafinha performs and Bernardo fails, there goes my rankings. But then if he outperforms Rafinha, that is a plus for me. The reason I'm highlighting Bernardo is because of his recent performances. I feel like he really passed the eye test, especially against that game against Liverpool. He was so dominant in the midfield. And when you look at his next forthcoming fixtures, Burnley, Brighton, and Crystal Palace, now this genuinely look like, again, for Man City, this genuinely look like easier fixtures than the ones we've seen for Rafinha. You know, I expect Man City to get like a clean 4-0 win against Burnley. Against Brighton, maybe a 2-0 win or a 2-1 win. It might be a harder fixture being away from home. Then against Crystal Palace, another 4 or 5 even. So I think Bernardo could be a good differential. The reason I have Bernardo and not Foden or any other player like Mahrez or Sterling is because if I transfer out Ismail Sarr at 6.1 and I have 1 million in the bank, that gives me only 7.1 million to work with, which means Bernardo or Ferran Torres are the only options I can get in that Man City team. And I feel like I'm trusting Bernardo to get the game time over Ferran Torres. So he's definitely one of the other options. We can look at the other quickly just to cover all the options I'm considering. So these are the Arsenal options. Emil Smith-Rowe, as you can see, 5.6% selected, a bit higher than Bernardo, but still way lower than Rafinha. Total points 24, so 25 points so far, which makes him a bit. He has outscored Bernardo by 1 point, but then still lower than Rafinha. So I guess those 20.5 people who have Rafinha over these guys are justified so far. Look at his fixtures. He has some pretty favorable fixtures as well for Arsenal. Coming against Crystal Palace at home, Aston Villa at home, then Leicester away. Especially those 2 home fixtures, Arsenal are showing some really good form at home. So for those 2 home fixtures are the reason why I'm thinking he can be a very good differential option for replacing Ismail Sarr. I think Bukayo Saka later in the list, but we can just go to the other option and then we'll finish off. Yeah, the other option is Mateo Kovacic, the Chelsea midfielder. The reason I have Mateo Kovacic, again, I explained to you about the pricing challenge. I can't have the premium Chelsea midfielders. And the beauty about Kovacic is he has sort of proven that he will get game time. Tuchel seems to like him in his midfield. In majority of the fixtures, the 7 games they've played, he's averaged 70 minutes or 90 minutes in most of them. And it's showing because as you can see, the total points so far, 33 points. That's 2 more than Rafinha, remember? And when you look at his selection, 8.5%. So this makes a good case for Mateo Kovacic as a differential against the Rafinha signing. Because when you look at his fixtures, he also has a good run of fixtures when you compare to what we saw with Rafinha. We can just look at Kovacic's fixtures. He's coming up against Brentford. He's coming up against Brentford away, then Norwich, Chelsea at home, then Newcastle, Chelsea at away. Brentford, I'm not too sure. We saw how we are basically seeing how Brentford are handling this supposed top sides. So we don't know what to expect from Brentford against Chelsea. We saw how they held themselves against Liverpool and against Arsenal and those kind of games. So I don't know what kind of Brentford we are going to see against Chelsea. So I'm not too sure if that's a straightforward, easy game for them. But then against Norwich, for sure, we are expecting a Chelsea thrashing. Chelsea should thrash them, possibly 4 goals or more. Against Newcastle as well, we're yet to see the impact of the Newcastle takeover, whether they'll bring in a new manager or whatnot. I don't know if the players are more psyched now that they have a new owner, so they will want to maybe show themselves more worthy. But either way, Mateo Kovacic has some genuinely nice fixtures. And when you look at his returns, he's looking like another very good differential option. The last player I have as a differential option is Bukayo Saka of Arsenal. Again, when you look at the selection, 11.5%. So I think second to Rafinha, he's the second most popular player so far, 11.5%. His points are third in terms of Kovacic has the highest, then Rafinha, then Bukayo Saka so far at 29 points in total. And when you look at his fixtures, we discussed that when we're looking at the Smith Rowe fixtures, pretty good fixtures. And I think we are guaranteed that he will get at least 70 minutes or so in that Arsenal side. He is proving to be one of the key men of that Arsenal side. And I think when you look at him play, he really passes the eye test. He really passes the eye test in terms of he's causing a lot of problems for the opposition. So Bukayo Saka is the last player that I'm evaluating as a potential option to replace Ismail Sarr. So as Dinosaurus gears up for game week 8, the one transfer that we want to make is to ship out Ismail Sarr and bring in any one of these players that we have highlighted so far. I will put maybe a poll in my Instagram and my socials. The Dinosaurus has social pages. We'll put out maybe a poll. You can also find the poll on the Fantasy Football Zone pages, where we'll just try to get your help, on who would be the better option or the best option to go with. But then on our live show, on Fantasy Football Zone live show, the preview show where we'll be looking at game week 8 as we are unveiling our teams, then you'll be able to see the decision that I finally went with. And we can just hold our hands together and wait to see how it plays out for game week 8. So that's basically how Dinosaurus is preparing for game week 8. Maybe you can engage with me on the comment section or on the socials and let me know if you have some questions concerning some decisions you're also looking to make, or maybe some advice with regards to the decision I want to make. It's all welcome and we are all inviting it. Of course, you can be a part of either the success or the downfall of FPL Dinosaurus. So feel free to engage with me and engage with us on our FFZ lines or socials, or Dinosaurus's also socials. Basically, that's the first episode or the appetizer of what you are to expect from this segment of FFZ, and we'll be coming every other week with the progress report, and basically we will journey together as we go. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, that is Fantasy Football Zone on YouTube, to like our pages or follow our pages. We really are committed to building some amazing content for our fantasy community here in Kenya and elsewhere, however far we can reach. So we really appreciate your support. If you like what you're doing, if you like what we are doing, please share with some of your fantasy friends, and we will definitely appreciate your support. That's it from me, and let's meet on the game day. Awesome.